Hotapu everyone. This is His Majesty Ra Sumabafagbemi, the world's first openly African Nesubwata, which means Pharaoh. I am considering changing my title from the English word king to the original African word Nesubwata, which means more like a pharaoh. I'm doing this, I'll discuss at a different video more about this, but I'm doing this because I'm watching a trend happening in the Black conscious community of a lot of Black people going to parts of Africa to get crowns, to become king. And I'm concerned about the pattern I'm seeing. It reminds me of something in the intermediate phase of history in Egypt, right after the Old Kingdom, and how the Old Kingdom really collapsed. I'm watching certain things happening between diasporic blacks, particularly North American blacks, going to Africa to get crowns. Kingship is a very serious matter, and it cannot just be given to you. So that's a different video I'll discuss at some other point. But as for today, let's go into the topic of the day, which I'll begin with what's on the screen, which is the absolute and utter truth. Racism, sexism, and homophobia are not permitted in this area. On my web channel, in my kingdom, in my teachings, in my realm, I do not tolerate racism, sexism, or homophobia. As each of these can be a whole video in themselves, I will only focus on one today, the homophobia one. Let's first look at what is homophobia. Well, linguistically, the word homo means same. It can also mean man. And phobia means fear. So it could be the fear of sameness, which is very odd, or the fear of man, which is odd, but not quite so off the mark. We do not define homophobia as the fear of gay sex or gay relationships or same-sex behaviors. We view homophobia as this tells us. Homophobia, a noun, insecurity about being heterosexual. This is how I define homophobia as a homosexual man. In the same way, we don't want men defining sexism for women. We don't want white people defining racism for black people. And we don't want heterosexuals defining gay homophobia for gay people. Homophobia is a cover word, like sexism is a cover word. Sexism is really male insecurity. But they make up some fancy magical word that covers the real dynamics happening. The same it goes with homophobia. It's about heterosexual, particularly heterosexual men, but there are many homophobic females who are insecure about being heterosexual. And the point of this video is I'm establishing in my realm that homophobia, and by the way, sexism and racism are mental disorders. They are psychopathic disorders that require therapy, counseling, and medication for most people. I do not wish to promote that homophobia, sexism, and racism are just these things that people come to believe. They are, according to our technology, our cosmology, at the least a mental psychopathological disorder, and of course at the worst, a spiritual disorder, a defect of the soul. The source of these three devils is a brain imbalance. Homophobia is a hyper left brain overactivity. The word left in Latin is siniestra, where the word sinister comes from. So I call left brain overactivity sinister brain psychopathology. Left brain psychopathology. The left brain is famous for hypocrisy, meaning separating things that and not connecting them well. The left brain cannot make connections in an intelligent manner. To be sexist, you're not connecting that that person is a human like you. To be racist, you're not connecting that the person you're targeting is human like you. To be homophobic, you're not mentally connecting. That's a person. That's a human being over there. You're disconnecting their humanity. You are severing it. And you then begin to scream loudly about how righteous this weirdness is, this pathology is. So when I see on YouTube a lot of people in the Black conscious community talking about gayness is not African and it's against God, and what I'm looking at are people with mental problems. I'm looking at people with mental disorders, psychopathological disorders, and actually I think, wow, you really need help. I have that kind of pity on them. You need medication, you need therapy, you've got problems, and your left brain is hyperactive, and the reptilian mammal brains are too dominant. You're too emotional about this. You're up in arms over this. No one's threatened you. No one's hurt you. No one has attacked you, yet you're fighting as if you're being targeted by a sniper. So I really feel for those women and men who are homophobic. I wish them the best medications for their disorder. I wish them the best therapy, the best psychiatry help. Perhaps they should go to an institution to get help against that. And then they can resolve their brain problems and come out as civilized, humanitarian, kind people. This goes for sexist people, they need medication, and racist people need medication, therapy, psychiatric intervention. So that's how we see these evils, and homophobia is a mental disorder. And may all of you people of humanitarianism, kindness, civility, send your prayers and your well wishes that these homophobic people get medical help, get psychiatric attention to help them with their disorder, their disease of the brain, of the mind, and most deeply of the soul, that they may come out of that tar pit of consciousness with kindness, sharing, and caring. And may this be a million times true. Dua Wen Hotepu.